The Sinister Symphony, Part 1, Prelude to Terror. In the heart of Vienna, where the grandeur of classical music echoes through the streets, there lies a forgotten concert hall steeped in darkness. Once renowned for its exquisite performances and opulent decor, the Melancholy Maestro's theater now stands as a decrepit monument to a sinister past. Legend has it that the theater's former conductor, Maestro Gabriel von Blackwood, was not merely a virtuoso of the symphony, but a practitioner of the occult arts. It is said that he made a pact with dark forces in exchange for unparalleled musical talent, but the price he paid was his own soul. The theater's halls are said to be haunted by the tortured spirits of musicians who dared to defy the maestro, their anguished melodies reverberating through the decaying corridors. Those who enter the theater are drawn in by the seductive strains of a phantom orchestra, only to become ensnared in a symphony of terror orchestrated by the malevolent maestro himself. It was on a stormy night that Julia, a promising violinist with dreams of stardom, received an invitation to perform at the Melancholy Maestro's theater. Ignoring the warnings of her peers, she accepted the invitation, eager for a chance to showcase her talent on a prestigious stage. Little did she know, her performance would mark the beginning of a nightmare beyond her wildest imaginings, as the dark secrets of the theater began to unravel around her, and the sinister symphony of terror reached its crescendo. Part 2, The Haunting Sonata. As Julia stepped through the imposing doors of the Melancholy Maestro's theater, a chill swept through her bones, and she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The air was thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the faint echo of her footsteps against the worn marble floors. Inside, the theater loomed before her, its once grand chandeliers now dim and flickering like dying stars. The stage stood shrouded in shadows, the velvet curtains tattered and torn, as if concealing the horrors that lay beyond. Julia's heart raced with anticipation as she took her place on stage, her violin poised and ready to unleash its haunting melodies. But as she began to play, a sense of dread washed over her, and she felt as though invisible hands were guiding her bow, coaxing forth notes of sorrow and despair. The audience, a ghostly assembly of shadowy figures, watched in silence as Julia's music filled the theater, each note dripping with a melancholy beauty that seemed to resonate with the very souls of the damned. But as the final strains of her performance faded into the darkness, a sudden chill swept through the theater, and Julia's blood ran cold as she realized she was not alone on stage. Emerging from the shadows, a figure clad in black stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. It was the maestro himself, his form twisted and contorted by the dark forces that had consumed him. With a wicked grin, he raised his baton, and the orchestra of the damned began to play, their music a cacophony of screams and whispers that echoed through the halls of the theater. Julia's heart pounded in her chest as she realized the true nature of the invitation she had accepted, and she knew that if she did not escape the clutches of the Melancholy Maestro's theater, she would become just another lost soul trapped within its cursed walls, forever. Part 3, The Symphony of Salvation. With every haunting note that echoed through the theater, Julia's desperation grew. She knew she had to escape the clutches of the malevolent maestro and his cursed orchestra, but the spectral audience surrounding her seemed to block every path to safety. Summoning all her courage, Julia continued to play her violin, her fingers flying over the strings in a desperate bid to drown out the sinister symphony that threatened to consume her soul. But with each passing moment, the darkness closed in, and it seemed as though all hope was lost. Just when Julia felt she could no longer bear the weight of the oppressive dread, a faint glimmer of light appeared in the shadows. It danced like a distant star, guiding her towards a hidden door at the back of the stage. With renewed determination, Julia played on, her music becoming a beacon of hope in the darkness. As she reached the door, she could hear the maestro's furious commands behind her, urging his spectral orchestra to silence her once and for all. But Julia refused to be deterred. With a final, defiant flourish, she unleashed a crescendo of sound that shattered the darkness and filled the theater with blinding light. In that moment, the curse that had held the Melancholy Maestro's theater in its grip was broken, and the spirits of the damned were set free. Gasping for breath, Julia stumbled through the door and into the cool night air, the echoes of her music still ringing in her ears. As she looked back at the theater, she saw its once ominous facade bathed in the soft glow of dawn, the shadows receding like a distant memory. With a sense of profound relief, Julia knew that she had escaped the clutches of the melancholy Maestro's theater, but she also knew that the experience would stay with her forever. For in that haunted place, she had discovered the true power of music, to conquer even the darkest of evils and bring light to the darkest of souls. Part 4, Echoes of Redemption. As the first rays of dawn pierced through the dissipating mist, Julia emerged from the shadowy depths of the melancholy Maestro's theater, her heart still racing with the echoes of her harrowing ordeal. Though the nightmare was over, its lingering presence weighed heavily upon her, like a haunting melody etched into her very soul. With trembling hands, Julia clutched her violin close, finding solace in the familiar weight of the instrument. It had been her companion through countless trials and triumphs, but never before had its music held such profound power. As she made her way through the deserted streets of Vienna, Julia couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every shadow seemed to whisper secrets of the darkness she had narrowly escaped, and the echoes of the Maestro's Sinister Symphony still reverberated in her mind. But amidst the lingering fear and uncertainty, Julia found strength in the knowledge that she had faced her demons and emerged victorious. The experience had changed her, deepening her appreciation for the gift of music and the resilience of the human spirit. Determined to leave the horrors of the melancholy Maestro's theater behind her, Julia vowed to use her talent to spread light and hope in a world plagued by darkness. With each note she played, she would honor the memory of those lost souls who had fallen victim to the Maestro's curse, and she would ensure that their voices were never forgotten. And as the sun rose high in the sky, casting its warm embrace upon the city, Julia knew that she had found her purpose, to be a beacon of hope in a world that so desperately needed it, and to let the echoes of her music ring out as a testament to the power of redemption. Part 5, Shadows of Resurgence. In the weeks that followed her harrowing escape from the melancholy Maestro's theater, Julia found herself haunted by lingering echoes of the darkness she had faced. Despite her best efforts to move on, the memories of that fateful night continued to weigh heavily upon her soul, like a shadow that refused to be dispelled. Determined to confront her fears head-on, Julia immersed herself in her music, seeking solace in its familiar embrace. With each haunting melody she played, she felt a sense of catharsis, as though the notes themselves were helping to heal the wounds left behind by her ordeal. But try as she might to banish the shadows of the past, Julia could not shake the feeling that the melancholy Maestro's theater still held secrets yet to be uncovered. It whispered to her in the dead of night, its siren song calling her back to confront the darkness once more. Driven by an insatiable curiosity, Julia embarked on a quest to unravel the mysteries of the theater and uncover the truth behind its cursed legacy. Armed with little more than her violin and an unshakable resolve, she delved deep into the heart of Vienna's underworld, following a trail of whispers and half-truths that led her ever closer to the truth. But as Julia ventured further into the shadows, she soon realized that the darkness she sought to conquer was not confined to the walls of the melancholy Maestro's theater. It lurked in every corner of the city, festering like a wound that refused to heal, and Julia knew that if she was to truly find redemption, she would have to confront the demons that dwelled within her own heart. With newfound determination, Julia vowed to shine a light into the darkest recesses of Vienna, to expose the corruption and deceit that lay hidden beneath its glittering facade. For she knew that only by confronting the shadows of the past could she hope to find the light of redemption and finally lay the ghosts of the melancholy Maestro's theater to rest. Part 6, Symphony of Revelations. As Julia delved deeper into the mysteries surrounding the melancholy Maestro's theater and the darkness that plagued Vienna, she uncovered a web of intrigue that stretched far beyond anything she could have imagined. Hidden beneath the city's veneer of elegance and sophistication lay a world of secrets and betrayal, where power and greed ruled with an iron fist. With each revelation, Julia's resolve only grew stronger, fueled by a burning desire to expose the truth and bring justice to those who had been wronged. But as she delved deeper into the heart of darkness, she found herself drawn into a dangerous game of cat and mouse, where every step she took brought her closer to danger. Haunted by visions of the spectral orchestra and the malevolent Maestro who had once held sway over them, Julia knew that she was running out of time. The shadows were closing in around her, threatening to engulf her once and for all. But amidst the chaos and uncertainty, Julia found unexpected allies in the most unlikely of places. From the depths of the city's underworld emerged a ragtag band of misfits and outcasts, each with their own reasons for seeking redemption. Together, they formed an unlikely alliance, united in their quest to uncover the truth and bring an end to the darkness that threatened to consume them all. Armed with courage and determination, Julia and her newfound companions embarked on a daring mission to infiltrate the heart of the Melancholy Maestro's theater and confront the source of the darkness once and for all. With the fate of Vienna hanging in the balance, they knew that failure was not an option. As they stood on the precipice of their final showdown, Julia felt a sense of calm wash over her. Though the road ahead was fraught with peril, she knew that she was not alone. With her friends by her side and the power of music coursing through her veins, she was ready to face whatever horrors awaited them in the shadows, and emerge victorious. Part 7, Overture of Redemption. With hearts pounding and nerves on edge, Julia and her companions stepped into the hallowed halls of the Melancholy Maestro's theater, their resolve unwavering despite the looming specter of darkness that surrounded them. The air was heavy with anticipation as they ventured deeper into the heart of the cursed building, each step bringing them closer to their final confrontation with the malevolent forces that had held Vienna in their grip for so long. As they reached the grand concert hall, a palpable sense of tension hung in the air, the silence broken only by the faint whisper of wind through cracked windows. Standing at the center of the stage, bathed in an ethereal glow, was the shadowy figure of the maestro, his eyes burning with an otherworldly light. But Julia and her companions did not falter. With courage born of desperation and a fierce determination to see justice served, they squared their shoulders and prepared to face their greatest challenge yet. In a flurry of motion, the maestro raised his baton, and the orchestra of the damned sprang to life, their haunting melodies filling the air with a cacophony of sound. But Julia was undeterred. Drawing upon the power of her music, she unleashed a symphony of light and hope that shattered the darkness and banished the shadows once and for all. As the final notes echoed through the theater, a profound silence descended, broken only by the soft sound of applause. The spectral audience, freed from the maestro's curse, shimmered and faded into the ether, their souls finally at peace. With the darkness vanquished and the city of Vienna saved from its grasp, Julia and her companions emerged from the Melancholy Maestro's theater, weary but triumphant. In the light of dawn, they stood together, their hearts lighter than they had been in years, knowing that they had faced their fears and emerged stronger for it. And as they looked out upon the city, bathed in the soft glow of morning, they knew that though the shadows may linger, they would never again hold sway over the hearts and minds of the people. For in the end, it was the power of courage, friendship, and the transcendent beauty of music that had triumphed over darkness, proving that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope.